Any new city gets a royal visit. We didn't know which royal it would be, so we were absolutely made up when we learned it was going to be the King and Queen consort. I think it's given a big boost to the city. People were really glad to see him. They lined up in their numbers along the high street. It was a fantastic day, and I just think it raises our profile.
Could you introduce yourself for me?
Councillor Tim Young, I'm the Mayor of the City of Colchester. It's amazing. I mean, when I got put forward for the role, we didn't know we were going to get city status. And so, in fact, we were in Rome, the Mayoress and I, when we found out. So it was an amazing place. It was like meant to be. It's an absolute honour to be the first Mayor of the city and, you know, go down in history.
History is important for a number of reasons. Most people think history is bunk until you actually think about what we do day in, day out. And it turns out there's very little we do that hasn't been done before. My name is Raymond McCarthy. I'm one of the city tour guides and have been very active in building up the tourism side of what is a magnificent city with a rich and developing history that not only defines who we were, but defines where we're heading to in this ever-changing city. But if we go way back in time, over 2,000 years, this place was known as Camulodunum. And this was actually the largest area and most successful tribe, the Treventes. At that time, there was no England, there was no Scotland, there was no Wales. It was the tribes who were the powerful areas. And in this area, the most powerful were the Treventes. And when the Romans invaded first, which was under the great Julius Caesar, and I'm going to quote some of his lines, he came, he saw, but he didn't conquer. And that was because he didn't bring a big enough army. But like all good politicians, what he done was he sat down, came to an agreement, and then went home again, declaring victory. It wasn't for another 100 years later when the true invasion happened. And that was under the fourth emperor, Emperor Claudius. And he decides he's going to be the first one since the great Caesar to try and invade Britain. He came with around about 70,000 people, also came with 18 war elephants. Well, quite quickly it was all over, and welcome to our new king and emperor. He basically brought all of the surrounding tribal leaders here, and they paid homage to Claudius. He went back to the delights of Rome, now being triumphant, and the first thing that the Romans done is build a temple. Here we're in the precinct of where their first temple was built. Behind me, the castle actually stands on the original foundations of that temple. It was built over around about a 10-year period, and the question remains, why did people build a castle? It's a lot of work. Well, for two main reasons. Firstly, it's a defensive position, but more importantly, today we would use an aircraft carrier group. That is a projection of power. Look how powerful we are. This is a projection of power. It shows your enemies how powerful you were and what you could do. Wherever there is a Roman temple, there is always a theatre nearby. And to the left of me, we have the remains of one of two theatres found in Colchester. You can see how familiar that design looks towards a modern theatre and a modern sports stadium. We still use this model even today for our stadia because it's the easiest and quickest way to move people in and out rapidly.
What do you see in Colchester's future?
To be honest, I see really good times. I know people can be pessimistic, but the human spirit wills out. The human spirit wants to change things. It wants to move forward. There's a lot happening here. There's a recognition at the highest level that actually the history is going to be a driving force to bring people into the city in the future.
I think Colchester's got such a bright future. It's one of the fastest growing places in the UK. I think if we can get it right and really put that cultural offer out there so that we get more tourists and visitors and attract new businesses, I think Colchester's going to be one of the places that people will look at as a fundamental change in what was a market town becoming a very important new city.